Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Sonal's life. And as you can tell from the title of this video, we are doing something a little different yet again. So obviously the last video I posted was part 2 of the Suzuki-gun history series that I've started, and you can watch that again somewhere in the links. But this week is a bit different. On February the 6th, I was lucky enough to go to the O2 Ritz in Manchester, and I went to my first ever Progress show. Considering how long I've liked wrestling and the fact I was at university in London and I've been in Manchester again for years, I know you're probably going to be shocked about that. But honestly, yeah, it was my first time. I took my mum, who, as we all know, when it comes to going to wrestling shows, she's the best person to go with. And yeah, we had some amazing seats. We got platform right near the entranceway. So I thought I'm going to have a look through all the matches that happened. Obviously, this is going to contain major spoilers. It will be on the WWE Network and the Progress VOD. But this is just my experiences as a first-time Progress visitor. So yeah, let's get going. We honestly could not have started the show any better. I personally love it. My mum loves it. It is tag team wrestling. And we had the match for the Progress Tag Team Championships. Now, obviously, going in, I was a bit iffy on the storylines. I got very confused because the opponents in this match were the Lycos Gym, which is weird, but because they were getting booed, and I've always watched the Lycos Gym, so Kid Lycos and that, and they've always been the baby faces. And then they came out with the title, so I was like, wait, are they the champions? No, they were not. They were actually facing the defending champions, the Smoking Aces, but in some weird turn of events, they nicked the title and ran off with it. Now, if I could say that this was probably one of the best starts to a show I've seen, I'm going to say it now. You had the Lycos Gym, who are much smaller than the Smoking Aces, but it didn't actually matter when it came down to it. So at the start, obviously, Lycos Gym came out with some cheating, with some flour, but the Smoking Aces had these goggles. They were prepared. Like, I've never seen the Smoking Aces in person compared to the fact that I've seen the Lycos Gym several times. Holy God, I was surprised as hell. These guys are very big built. Like, if you saw them, you'd probably say, yeah, they're heavyweights, if we're going in, like, New Japan terms. They were flying like there was literally no tomorrow. Like, they were diving, doing flips. Personally, for me, they had this tag team chemistry that is seriously unrivaled. They were putting out like move after move after move, sequences that looked like a flawless dance. Like, I was there with my mum, I was like, dang it, that was smooth as hell. There was a huge moment in the show, which basically, like, if you know about it, you know about it. Basically, Lycos Gym and half of the champions were in the ring. They all came out, one was missing, and me and my mum were like, where have they gone? Where have they gone? Earlier in the show, they teased throwing one of the Lycoses over the balcony, because that's how the Ritz is set up, like, but like a theatre. But like, it didn't happen, so I was like, chilled. Next thing I knew, one of the Smoking Aces was bloody up in the balcony, and I was like, he's not going to do it, is he? Mum's like, what? I was like, he's not going to do a Kota Ibushi. And for anyone who knows, Kota Ibushi moonsaulting off the balcony, you know, Zack Sabre Jr. If someone's moonsaulting off the balcony, you move, he moonsaulted off the balcony. Like, this is obviously New Japan, big companies, it's a thing. But the fact that I saw this, my mum was like, you should have videoed it. I didn't expect it, so I couldn't record it. But holy God, it was amazing. Now, yeah, if that wasn't big enough, it was a spectacular match. In the end, the Smoking Aces retained with a bit of cheating. Yeah, a little bit of flour. But you know, when you're playing against some dirty dog, you need to use dirty tactics. And yeah, it was an amazing way to start the show. And yeah, the Smoking Aces, I'll be keeping an eye on you. The next match was a bit more of what we see from like some New Japan, where we were starting with some upcoming talent. We had a debuting Scott Oberman versus Big Joe. And just what I want to say, it's a bit like David and Goliath. Big Joe is quite a little cheeser, little small person, but with big guns. Whereas Scott Oberman was the big, domineering, tall, quite moody, very sad looking. He needed a bit of happy juice. Yeah, they were fine against each other. It was a really nice way to get crowds excited for the rest of the show. Obviously, the underdog was Big Joe because of his size, but the crowd were rooting for him. He got the win in the end. It was a great match. And again, I love it when companies showcase upcoming talent, because that's the future of wrestling in the UK, and it is very bright. We had a bit of not an odd one, in the sense that it was a women's singles special match between Lana Austin and Falcon. Now, I say it's a bit of a weird one. I'm not very aware of Falcon. I'm very sorry. I keep saying this, but this show is really introducing me to a lot of new acts. But I have been watching Lana Austin for years. I've seen her at loads of venues. She's Manchester born and bred and proud. So if you see on like a little reel on the Progress Twitter page, on the entrance, I'm like one of the only people cheering for Lana Austin. But it's fine because I tweeted Lana about it. We are now besties. Hashtag bestie goals. But yeah, it was a really nice match between two very powerful women. What I love about them is that they both have very distinct styles. And yes, this was chairs from Lana. There was a lot of aggression. But what I like is they weren't pussyfooting around it. There was pure brutality. And the crowds were properly getting into it. Lana was being a full-on heel. Falcon was taking in all the love. And yeah, it was just an amazing match. So go and watch it and show Lana some love because you know what? She's better than all of you. We then had a no disqualification match. You know I'm like a iffy on this no disqualification matches, but this one was great. It was between Spike Trivet, who everyone was shouting Tori Wanka very loudly, it's great, versus Luke Jacobs. Now the funny thing is, I've actually seen Luke Jacobs, and if you saw my Rev Pro review from, I think it was last year, and he was actually there as part of the Young Guns, and literally as soon as he came out, me and my mum went, we know him. So this was an amazing match. No DQ, there was literally no DQ. There was belts, chairs, tables. There was two huge table spots. One on the outside where Luke pile driver Trivet into the table, and one in the ring. However, the standout moment made me cringe was thumbtacks coming out, and Trivet had a bottle of lemon juice, and while Luke fed him the lemon juice, actually it got used against Luke in the end. So when the thumbtacks were on the floor, Luke's back got hit into it, and then Spike Trivet put lemon juice in it. You can imagine how much that, like even just thinking about it now, I just want to cringe because that was sort of maybe the build up for Spike Trivet winning. But I want to say, like, I always say I'm not a fan of these no DQ matches. Like, I am honest about this several times. However, Luke Jacobs, for someone so young and someone who's making a start in his career, he found the perfect balance with Trivet. He had very, very good wrestling in it, the style that we've come to know from the Young Guns. But he pushed away any sort of morals that he had because he knew, like with the first match, if you've got someone like Trivet, you've got to be able to play dirty because otherwise you're just going to be walked on. We then had a break. I went to get some food because I was very hungry and this was like 4 o'clock. But then we came back for the second half, and what a way to start the second half. We had a title match for the Ring of Honor Championship. Never did I think I was going to see that Ring of Honor Championship in real life, with Chris Ridgway, a British wrestling legend, versus Jonathan Gresham. I mean, I shared this on Twitter. Like, after I found out about Jonathan Gresham, obviously with like New Japan, and then I started watching Ring of Honor, I never thought I would see him as close as I did on wrestling. But I did, thanks to Progress. And as expected, between two submission specialists, it was probably my match of the night because it was so simple. The guys were doing such, maybe what we count as minimalistic moves, no flash, but they managed to make every move count. They did it with style, speed, and honestly, they had like kicks and chops, and I think my heart was coming out of my chest. I was like, whew, that is painful. But like both men, obviously being such great grapplers, stuck to the rules, just gave fans an amazing wrestling match. And it was quite fun to see the crowd split. Obviously, people saying, Ridgway, I love Ridgway, obviously, but I am obsessed with Jonathan Gresham. Him, Zack Sabre Jr., that sort of catch-as-can wrestling style is something I'm obsessed with. And I was also like mildly fangirling like the entire way through that the octopus Jonathan Gresham was in front of me. Like damn. But yeah, it was everything I expected from it and more. The crowd was on their feet, chanting, "This is wrestling, this is progress." And it was the best way to start the second half, which had some amazing title matches. And also, I'm going to say this again, I can't believe I've seen Jonathan Gresham with my real eyes. I thought that would never happen, and it has. We then went from one amazing match to another one, and this time for the Progress World Championship. The competitor was Dean Almark, obviously an extreme crowd favourite. Came in, fancy pants, loving it. Before the show, like during the pre-shows and stuff, he was walking around with a massive flag. And he was facing the champion, Cara Noir. And wow. So I've always said, wrestling is a bit like an art. It is magnificent, beautiful to watch. Cara Noir is literally the epitome of that. My mum hasn't ever heard of Cara Noir. I have heard of him, never seen him live. But his entrance was probably the most beautiful entrance I have ever seen. And you guys know how much I love entrances. They are my thing. He came out to the Swan Lake music with his big cape, his mask. And he just had this air and elegance of a swan. It was spectacular. And obviously if people were like, oh, well, is his entrance more than his wrestling? No. Once he got in the ring, he had that same grace as a ballet dancer, as someone who is free with music. And considering this size difference between him and Almark, they worked really well together. There was a nice mix of high flying, more riskier things. Some ground-based submissions, so pins and bridges, crabs and things like that. But also just pure wrestling. The two were just going at it. There was a lot of aggression and passion. And surprisingly for most of it, Almark seemed to have the advantage. He seemed to be fighting Cara Noir down. And for a second I was like, oh, we could have a title change here. But it wasn't. In the end, after another amazing match, Cara Noir got the win. And literally looked as magnificent as ever. If anybody has been on social media, you will have seen that the big thing happened after the show. Yeah. Suddenly the lights went off, and everyone knows when the lights go off after a title match, someone is coming out to challenge. Well, this wasn't just someone, there was a very sparkly title. It was none other than NXT UK champion Ilya Dragunov, if I can say that, I'm reading it. Yeah, he came out and challenged Cara Noir for his title. And honestly, I don't watch WWE, so it took me a few seconds to realise who the hell it was. So I was like, oh, I don't know. The crowd erupted. The crowd went crazy. And I'm not surprised why. These two guys are veterans in their trade. They are holding prestigious gold. And I think it'll be great to see a match between them. And we'll see who comes out on top. The whole show was fabulous. It was amazing. But the one thing I want to thank Progress for is their main event. It was for the Progress Women's Championship between Northern girl, born and bred Rio, and someone who, again, a bit like Lana Austin, because I've seen her loads of times and I love her, I was the only one cheering for the heel. It was against champion Giselle Shaw. Now, I love it when companies give women the chance to main event because they can show what they are made of, and holy God, did they do it. It was just typical babyface versus heel. Rio had the whole crowd on her feet. Giselle was she was having none of it. She was like, mate, you better be quiet. I am going to do my thing. And in terms of wrestling, I had nothing to complain about. The two are so diverse and so different. Rio, you can tell, has got the northern style wrestling base. Giselle, obviously, she's got years of experience and showcases a more stylish, a bit more flamboyant way of wrestling. The two of them were on equal heads throughout. The crowd were cheering. And he just had everyone hyped. And in the end, Rio didn't win. Giselle did retain. But I think it was the right thing to do. Rio is still fairly new compared to some of the other competitors. But she is showcasing just why she deserves to be basically at the top of every female division in the UK. And why you need to keep your eyes on her. She was another name I wasn't too familiar with and that I'd never seen live. But I will happily see it again. And once again, obviously the end of the show, Giselle was like, there is nobody who can challenge me, blah, blah, blah. Lights go down. Another familiar face for me comes out, and it is none other than Kanji. I literally followed Kanji for years. I have interviewed her. She's one of the sweetest people in the world and has had a very rough time the past few years. We had the pandemic. She's had injuries. But she was back, and she was like, I want my Progress title. It is mine. And yeah. If that match happens, I need to see it because they are two of my favourite female wrestlers and it was an amazing show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like I said, this video is a little bit different. I'm looking at Progress, nothing that I would usually talk about. But I thought, considering it was my first time, I wanted to share my experiences. Everyone at the venue was so nice. All of the fans were so gracious and so kind. They just start chatting and I love to chat, as you can tell. And it really makes me want to go again. So yeah, I just can't complain. Thank you, Progress, for an amazing night. Thank you to all the wrestlers, to all the staff who made our experiences amazing. So, normally I'd be like, let me know which match was your favourite, but because most of you probably haven't watched it by now, let me know which match you guys would have loved to have seen the most. Would you have fangirled over Jonathan Gresham as much as I did? Let me know in the comments. And are there any upcoming shows in the north, because obviously I don't have the money to be travelling everywhere now, that you think I should go and see, or any wrestlers I should keep my eyes on? Let me know in the comments. Follow me on social media at wrestling_chat, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!